Howdy, howdy, folks. My name is Kaedyn Jennings with Snip Clip Alaska, and we have
Robbie with RC Detail, and we are 907 Business Buzz.
the 907 Business Buzz
Yes.
podcast. We're supposed to say that at the same time. Robbie and I didn't really.
We kind of messed that up.
Look, it's been a long day, folks.
It has. But we had a ton of positive comments about a very special guest, and we've invited this guest back. We have Erika Bills with us with Northrim Bank.
Woohoo!
And we're going to talk about relationships this evening and those connections we make and how valuable those are to your business. And Erika is kind of a key player in the community with this.
She's an expert at this.
Right.
And I think it's also important to clarify that you have different levels of relationships with different business people depending on their value to you, right? Like, okay, let's say you have a client, and it's not necessarily all monetary, but let's say you have a client paying you $20,000 a year.
Let me give you the example. I'll give you the
Erika's
example.
got it.
How about that?
Yep.
You know, in business, you have tools in your toolbox, and we're all each other's tools. Haha. But monetary value doesn't matter because you could have $1 million customer and they can be the biggest pain in your behind. But then you have a $5 customer and they could be the biggest referrer to you and the biggest spokesperson for you. So that monetary value doesn't matter. It's how you take care of people. It's how you talk to them. It's how you relate to them. How you listen. I mean, listening is key. So it's not necessarily, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
there,
you're
but
good. I
pride
agree.
myself on this. I really do. And we were just having a conversation before this where I have this internal, it's not a struggle. It's just an internal, can't even think of the word that I need right now, but I feel there's a lot of value in all the people that I know and I care about them and they're my partners and they're my friends and they're my family. So, I want to take care of them the best that I can.
You're looking for like moral strength.
There you go.
Right.
That was it. I just couldn't think of the word. It's been a long day. Because we all know peopling is hard. It is hard. But building those relationships is fantastic. You know?
Yeah.
Again, that's why I go to the store at 6 a.m. in the morning, because that way, and we know people want to talk to us. You were just saying that is when people come to your shop, they want to see you.
Right. Everybody walks in the door, says hello at the shop in Palmer. They know I'm there. I love it. Sometimes it makes the day a little bit difficult because we've got cars we have to detail and turn out. And, but in the end, guys, taking the time for those people and those connections will help you tenfold. It's amazing. Sometimes you're like, crap, I lost 45 minutes talking to this person. You know what? The universe works its way out to get you those 45 minutes back.
It does. And, those of you who've been into the bank, no, my desk is right inside the front door.
Yep.
At first, when they moved me there, I was like, oh man, they're going to kick me out of here. No, only kidding. My desk is right in the front door. Every person that walks in the front door usually stops. So I'm in the same boat, but that value or that conversation that you have with somebody, even if it's just shooting the breeze, you're asking about their family, they're making sure that you know what's going on in their life, and that's huge to people. Right. And that's huge to have a relationship with people like that, because they trust you, and trust is huge. You can't find it very often anymore. Some people just don't care about that, and if you're a business owner, you have to care about these people. The biggest thing that people can do, like everybody says, we love you and we appreciate you. The biggest thing you can do for me is refer more people to me that I can take care of. Because as I told somebody the other day that kind of said, I'm going to leave the bank. I'm like, really? And where are you going to go that you're going to get the service that you get from me? No offense.
Yeah.
That's the relationship. It's just like that, the comical character that you made me that had the people dealer on it. There's no lie about that. It's really funny. It's just, and I'm proud of that. And, it means something to me. When I finally retire from the bank, which is way off, I'm going to have to change my phone number, obviously.
Here's the Erika Bills, people dealer picture. Let me see if I can get it to pull up. Oh, camera switch. Thank you. Erika, people dealer. It's great. Here.
But it's a lot about taking the time to listen to people, get to know them, know their family, know that they have animals, that they, know. It's just like kind of volunteering. You get to know people, and sometimes it's hard for people who are, we know, introverts. Okay, we're married to them.
We are.
And that's a hard thing for them. Okay. But for those social butterflies like us, it's easy. And, you have to step back and go, okay, maybe this person isn't, so in your face like we are. Okay. But that's what people remember, is that in your face.
Right.
They remember, you know what? She remembered this. I have people all the time who are like, how do you do that? How do you remember that? I'm like, I use my calendar for everything. I write down everything. I wake up in the middle of the night sometimes and write notes. I can't read it when I get up in the morning, but I woke up and wrote a note.
Right.
But it's, or somebody will say, what's your secret? There's no secret. The secret is you take care of people how you would want to be treated. You take care of people like, that like they're your mother or your father or your sibling, like people you like, obviously.
Right. Well, a point to make, and I wasn't necessarily just getting at the monetary value, but a point I'd like to make is, you'd want to take care of all of your clients on the same level, right?
Absolutely.
You might have a high dollar client. We maintain Goodwill in Wasilla, and they are a corporate store. The person we talk to, her name's Brenda. I love her. She's the best human being in the world, but she's an organ. But I think it's really important to take that extra step. I call her many, many times a year. I've probably talked to her 30 times in the last 2 months just to try and get our bids sent out, make sure we have everything done right. Hey, Brenda, how's it going? Just making sure that, everything's flowing on your end so that way it can flow on our end, right? I think it's important to not neglect those people just because, they're corporate. I don't have to deal with them.
No,
right?
And every customer is your bread and butter.
Yeah.
So a big thing too is we're always looking for new customers, but we need to never need to forget about the people who got us started.
Yep.
Or
exactly.
the people who are our customers.
What is it I say? It's always cheaper.
Oh, it's always cheaper to maintain your customers and take care of the ones that are already existing versus buying.
Well, yes. You purchase new customers by marketing.
Yeah, and going out and getting new ones. We live in a very tech-heavy world. Love CRMs, love everything that they provide and do for us, and they offer great automation features. But picking up the phone still holds a ton of value. I rely heavily on my CRM with my automated text messages, automated emails, the follow-ups. You guys, I know you both are customers. You guys have gotten the, hey, it's been 90 days since your detail, and whatnot. But I still look at my customer list and delegate time to be able to call back people from a year ago and say, hey, Kaedyn, it's been a year since I saw your truck. I know life changes or whatnot. Would you like to reschedule it? Yes, no, maybe so. Sometimes it's a quick little conversation, other times it's been, oh, hey, I actually wasn't happy about this last time. Oh, well, okay, how can I have the opportunity to fix that? Because we're not perfect,
right?
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes you don't get that feedback without asking and using old-fashioned communication.
Right. Well, and a tip to a lot of new guys coming out there, and I know I'm a new guy, but I've been in the business for 3 years now, so I have some experience.
Woohoo,
and I do
3 years.
Woo, I got some skin in the game, but seriously, most new guys, they don't leave voicemails. And I think a voicemail is honestly more important than sending a text. If your client doesn't answer, right? Don't just hang up on them and shoot them a text or an email. I think it's important if you can hit the combo. You can leave a voicemail, hit them with a text, and hit them with an email and be like, hey, I just reached out to you. I left you a voicemail. I just wanted to reach out about your spring cleanup. We scheduled you last year. I know you said we did a wonderful job. You left us an awesome tip. What can we do to, do you need a spring cleanup this year? Specifically one of our clients.
One of the things I do when I first start with a company or a customer is I ask them how they want to be communicated with. What is the best way? Because if you own a restaurant, I'm not going to call it noon to ask you a question about your banking.
Yep.
Because you're serving lunch, or maybe you're in the back cooking, or maybe you're helping customers. But asking them how they want to be communicated with, what's the best way? And, it's funny, back in the day, I tell our younger staff, your age people,
Mm-hmm.
20, 30 years ago, there wasn't the internet. There wasn't
Text.
online or text, or we did deposits, we cashed checks, and we, did night drop.
And you sent letters.
Yes, you sent a snail mail letter.
Yeah. Or you called their landline at home.
People still have them.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have
And
lots
that's okay. But again, asking a customer, hey, what's the best way? Because I've heard people say, well, I don't read my email. I'm like, well, why do we do this?
It's interesting you even said that. So last night we had the Palmer Chamber After Hours event.
Great event, I heard.
Super fun
Very fun.
event. If you have not gone to one and you live in our local area, jump on our calendar, check it out. But Corey and Corey over at the L House were gracious enough to host us last evening. And I asked the question, we have a little Q&A, they give a 5-minute presentation or so. And I asked, as a chamber board of directors, how can we help you guys as members? Because, we want to see engagement and make sure our connections with our members are great. Not only does that benefit us as chamber board members, but that also influences us as business owners. It's business connections. And one of the things Corey said was, I should probably read the email a little bit more in depth.
Right.
Yep.
And I'm guilty of the same thing.
Right.
If you ask me how to get a hold of me the best way, it's text
Or call.
Or call, depending on what you're
what
Well,
the situation is
for me-
and the time of day.
Yeah.
100%. It is so much easier to get a hold of me between 5 a.m. and 9 a.m.
when you and I are working.
Right. After 9 a.m.
I know you're sleeping still, right?
Sometimes.
It gets so much harder.
Yeah.
So knowing your customer, knowing this, is it a vice president of a massive company who's inundated with millions of emails and text messages a day?
Right.
Call.
Yeah.
Or is it
Do you know she's a nurse and she works at the hospital and
on nights?
you just
Yeah.
can't reach her
Right.
during the day?
I have those. I
Yep.
have nurses that leave their cars at the hospital, and we actually came up with a process with Denise Christopher, who works the front of admitting, and have a process so medical staff can just drop their keys with her, so we
Bother
make
anybody, and
Yep.
yeah,
everybody keeps working.
disrupts the day or anything.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Or, phone calls, texts, being in person. So, an old chamber member, when I started a chamber in Wasilla a long time ago, he finally came and banked with me, and he said, "You know why I came to bank with you?" And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "'Cause I saw your face all the time, and I couldn't say no."
Yeah.
After the trillionth time that I asked you to come bank with me. But that one-on-one contact, we just went through a period of time a couple of years ago where we couldn't have any contact, and it changed people. And we really need to get back to that personable. And I feel like that's a huge thing with relationships. I do a lot of pop-ins to my customers. I just pop in, say hi, how are things going? How is the economy affecting you? What's happening? What's bothering you? Most of the time it's hiring people. We know that. You're going through that right now.
Right.
But just that face-to-face contact, there's nothing wrong with that.
I
Right.
love your pop-ins. I mean, I even get those, and we've been friends, and my business very, very well, and you still always ask, what can Northrim do for you?
Right.
What can I do for you?
Or even, a lot of times what new businesses or people trying to start out find difficulty is that no. And it's not no right now. It's just no. We might look at something in the future. So you not need to take that to heart. You just need to be there and say, okay, well, I'm here for you if you need something. Come join me at another time. So that's why the pop-ins always work really well. You can just say hi. A lot of times when I go out, I don't talk about the bank. I ask them about their family, about what vacations they're taking, what they have plans for the summer. That's how you get to know people.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, I'm not going to come to your office and throw up about the bank unless you're going to ask me to throw up about the bank. Okay. Or tell me about everything.
Right.
I'm going to ask you about you. What makes you tick? What made you go into business? Who's your competitors?
There's something that we hit on with Joe in the previous episode, specifically kind of tailored towards my business more than Robbie's, which was, being a business where we don't see our clients, right?
Right.
it is so difficult to catch a client at their house unless they're retired or they work nights, and usually they're asleep.
Right.
And so, like, we run into trying to have a personal connection over the phone is a lot more difficult, and we have to push a lot harder for it.
Right.
And it's just something that, as one of those businesses that you're trying to scale, you're trying to grow. Well, I can't hire 10 people to go knock on doors when people happen to be home and say, "Hi, I'm here from Snip Clip. Good to see ya." Right. And so I think it's one of those things that, as a business like mine, it's hard to do. It's
Yeah.
just,
And I think, again, depending on a style,
Right.
a relationship style or what business you're in, it's all going to depend on what's coming from your heart.
right.
It's not written in a book anywhere. It's coming from in here, how you treat people, how you want to be treated. I mean, relationship building is so huge. And I've been in this community for 24 years, and it took a long time. And I used to have to go door to door to see people, and I don't have to do that anymore. I love to do it, but I don't have to go there and say, "Hey, I'm here from Northrim," and
Right.
but I don't have to do that anymore because people just refer and refer. And now we have social media, which even makes it better. Robbie knows I tag him all the time. I tag
Every day.
every
I
day.
love it. And I do
I
this.
tag you too.
Yeah. Yeah. It happens.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest referral network I know of right now. I just got on LinkedIn this morning as I'm young and LinkedIn is
Yeah,
a thing.
LinkedIn's an old. I
I-
don't even have. I had one. I just can't keep up with
So-
all of that.
I added a couple of the big business owners that I'm friends with and know personally. And within 20 minutes, I got added back. I was like, these people actually use this app. So I texted our marketing people and was like, hey, is LinkedIn one of those places we can market to?
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, like the social networks, like that is the biggest referral network going on right now is like, hey, where can I tag you on Facebook? Or
Right.
how can I share your stuff?
Yeah, local community pages are great resources. Again, this is touching on one of those things. If you are a new business or a business with a low marketing budget, sometimes it's painful, but babysit the socials.
Mhm.
Watch these pages. That's an area I started, advertising detailing services back in 2016. And it's helped me immensely. And I still do it
Yeah.
to this day. I watch them. Ben watches for people asking. And, we try not to just tag the business and hope, drop a breadcrumb for the person to follow to us. I try to write a description as to why, and we try to be the best detailer for everybody. We're not everybody's detailer. We know that. Just like you're not everybody's bank.
Yep.
Or everybody's
Lawn care plow guy.
As much as we want every customer, that's just not how the world works. But you're right. Social media, the community pages help a ton.
Yep.
And we have our referral people.
Yeah. Well, so like we use Facebook. We stopped using Facebook messages a year ago. I set up an automated text with Facebook that says, hey, if you need a quote for services, here's where to go. Here's a link. Go here or call here is what it says. And it's kind of one of those things that, as a new, fresh business, like you said, if you babysit those things, you're watching those messages, you're replying as quickly as you possibly can. The quickest way to get a customer that's in search, in need of something right now is to be the first person to say, I can do that for you.
Well, that's one of the biggest things. Somebody will call and say they want these services, and is that person calling back?
Yeah.
Right away. Me, I'm like hot on it. I'm like, if somebody referred somebody or somebody's calling for something, that's the next phone call I'm going to make.
Yeah.
Because if you wait, they're going to go to someone else because it's all about gratification right now.
Yeah.
That instant gratification.
Most people don't even care about the price either. That is not the point of contention. The point of contention is who can get it done right now.
We've seen that in my industry, and it's changed quite a bit, which is interesting. So
Yeah.
back in 2016, when I, started RC, actually 70% of my business was Facebook.
Huh.
It came through Facebook. People messaging, wanting quotes, not wanting to talk on the phone.
Right.
And now I actually make them, or ask them to give us a phone number to call them so we can provide a more in-depth quote. because there's a lot of different options, and it also gives us the chance to speak to the person and actually figure out what they need. And you know, now people, it's so weird. They want that talk
Mm-hmm.
where we saw they didn't.
Right.
And
And it all depends on the communication level of the person too, because there's some people out there that may, you know, maybe they just can't get their point across, and talking about it gets them talking about what they want. You know,
Right.
I had somebody yesterday who called and they wanted to buy a piece of property, but it wasn't on the road system, and that's not something we do. But I knew somebody that could help them, so I gave them their phone number, and off she went, and they're going to finance this property for her.
That's awesome.
So again, it's about knowing other people that can help. You know, if there's something out there that you can help with.
Right.
So-
Well, and something important is not to downturn the softwares and what the softwares can do for you, because they're very powerful.
Mhm.
You know, there's a lot of automation there that Robbie and I use every single day. Like there is probably 60 emails sent out every day. That's automatic. I don't even think about it. And same with text messages for clients. And not to downplay that, but there is a part that's going, reaching out to that person, picking up the phone is so much better than just that automation text, which a lot of people, at least in my industry, don't notice that it's an automation, apparently. Some of our clients think that we communicate so well, and I'm like, I haven't talked to you in 6 months, and now we're just calling you to sign up for winter.
So I
But-
feel like in our group here, the three of us, okay, you're going to someone's home,
Right.
okay, their home.
Yep.
That's where, they live, their animals are, their
stuff.
family, their stuff. Okay. So I would really want to know who's going to my home.
Yep.
You have my vehicle, my beautiful 1990 pickup truck.
Could be or
Okay.
could be $120,000 Porsche.
Right.
Right.
These are things in your life that are important to you. So you really want to know who you're dealing with.
Right.
right.
I'm holding your money. Okay.
Yeah.
And,
I definitely like knowing the lady that holds my business funds. Funny you mentioned that the knowing the person that's doing the service for you. You're able actually implemented this about a year and a half ago. Our automated text messages, when we send a text to say we're on our way to pick up somebody's vehicle, actually gives us the ability to include a profile picture.
Yep.
oh,
So
very
you
nice.
so we have headshots, and you get a little, photo with the text, so you know who's picking up your vehicle.
Same with Jobber. It's pretty cool. This is a funny story. I'm going to go off on this for a second. So last year we had just switched to Jobber, at the beginning of winter, we had just switched to Jobber, transitioned from summer to winter, just because there were so many things that were better. But we got Dylan into the Jobber system, and you have to put your phone number in when you sign up with Jobber, even as an employee. So like he got sent his email, puts his phone number in and everything. He goes to start plowing clients' driveways. Actually, I had somebody helping me plow a driveway. Dylan was on a little short-term vacation, and it was so funny. Dylan calls me 5 times, and I got a list of clients that called his personal phone because he put his phone number in the software.
Oh, geez.
And it's like, hey, Brenda's calling saying, hey, we missed this little side RV parking at our house. I need you guys to go back there. And Dylan's like fielding all these calls for us in a different state on his vacation. It was hilarious. And we fixed that later on. And now I tell everybody, use the business phone when you sign up. I'll give you the code that gets texted to it. It's just one of those funny things where software's weird too. So,
Right.
But to the personal profile thing, yeah, they can add a profile picture of themselves. Typically, we have them with a Snip and Clip hoodie on, and it's, very professional. I have these new lights that we're going to use, thanks, Robbie, and this nice backdrop that we're going to use for those pictures this year. But I think that's something that's really important, because you can even add a description on the person and how long they've worked for you and all that kind of stuff,
That's
their
very cool.
experience.
Well, and especially fraud is so high these days. So high. We were just talking about it, and it's crazy.
Right.
And so knowing, I'll give you an example. This afternoon, before I came here, I had to do an inspection on a house. I need to take pictures. So I called the customer, and I'm like, hey, I'm going to come by. Just want to make sure you don't have any loose dogs. And just to let you know, I'm going to take pictures, because a lot of people have cameras.
Yeah.
And you want to protect what's yours. You really do. because there's so much fraud out there, and we need to be careful, and you just need to know who you're dealing with.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why, like, you kind of got to strive for that. If you have a website for your business, it's really good to have pictures of you and your stuff, and people know what truck is pulling up. Especially like my truck, I don't have logos on my truck. I like to keep it nice, and so when a big white truck with a trailer pulls up, and with a brand new trailer that doesn't have any logos on it, they're like, "Who the fuck is this guy showing up at my house?" Until they see the mower come out in an orange hoodie, and they're like, "I know that guy." But I agree with that. We actually had a client with the scams. We had a client text me today and call me today and was freaking out because we sent out all of our credit card on file emails for our clients. So it's automated. We can send it out to everybody at once. And we had people calling us saying, "Hey, like, are they trying to get my card information?" I'm like, "Nope, that was 100% us. If you feel more comfortable, we can do it over the phone." I don't ever feel comfortable taking card information over the
Yeah.
phone. Because you just kind of feel like nowadays, right? There's kind of this ick that goes with it that's like, man, these, say their card does get a fraudulent charge in the next week and you just took their card over the phone. Like, they don't know what you did with it.
Right.
As somebody who takes cards over the phone, it's very, very simple. They give you the numbers and everything. And so it's really dangerous to do that. And again, that goes back to trust the people you know, and if you're working with a business, find out who they are.
Right.
Do a little bit of digging before you just give out your credit card information.
Well, and it goes back to referrals. Just ask somebody if they know somebody.
Yeah.
I get those calls all the time. "Hey, do you know so and so?" Yeah. You want to use them. They're great people. They do a great job.
Right.
Those referrals are huge.
What's
Huge.
the word they say, a bad referral goes 10 times as far as a good referral?
Right. Or service, same thing.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, well, I think it's 10 times. So, you do one bad job, it gets out to 25 people. Whereas you do one good job, you might get out to 3, 4, 5.
Well, and I think going along those same lines, what we fail as not fail, but we forget is we have to ask for the business. We have to ask people, and that's part of relationship building. Is you can't just say to somebody, "Well, yeah, I own a detail business." Well, are you going to come? What am I doing? Come and see me. I want to do your car. I know you don't do that. I know you're proactive in getting people in the door. But like for me, if somebody says, "Well, do you have these services?" Yeah. Well, it can't end at that. You have to follow up with them. You have to ask them because people are on a journey and we don't know what journey they're on. We don't know, we all have different places that we want to be in life. There's a lot of customers I deal with. They're, that maybe they want to own a business. Maybe they want to work for someone else. So they're on a journey, but we have to be part of that. And in order to be part of that, we have to build a relationship with them. We can't just assume that that's what they want, or we can't also assume that they know what they want because maybe they don't. You
Right.
know, I mean, you have a great service of, you guys both do of the monthly.
Right.
That's great that you have that because a lot of people don't know that you do.
Right. Well, same with a perfect example. My favorite example, Klebs next door, Heath and Rob and Mike Klebs also. They have a subscription plan for your water heater and your air systems. And
I did not know that.
yeah,
That is very cool.
you've known Heath and
Yes,
Rob over
because
there.
I know him from the racetrack.
Right, and
Again, a relationship.
you've known him for 2 years now.
Yeah, he's
Or
going to
if
drive
not
a
longer.
legend car this year.
It's gonna be cool.
It is
I
gonna be
was just
cool.
welding on it the other day.
Were you?
But
Uh-oh.
anyways, like
I'm scared now.
the welds were ugly, but they will hold.
Okay.
But it was just for his steering wheel, nothing important.
Oh Lord.
But like I didn't know about this until a year ago, and Robbie and I were over there BSing, I don't know, a month ago, and Robbie found out about it out of the blue and was like, "How do I get on that?" And people just don't know about this stuff. And so my favorite slogan right now, because we're spending a ton on advertisement, is nobody knows you until everybody knows you.
Right. But like, okay, you're a new homeowner. How do you know that you have to do all these things?
Right.
Honestly.
Well, you hope you have a
Okay.
good realtor that gives you a binder full of information.
Well, yeah, but still,
Jake
and then like, yeah, Jake.
Yeah.
But then you go, okay, well, 2 years goes by. How often should I be doing that? Or
Right.
that's why you have these tools in your toolbox, people who can help you and be partners, and you build relationships with to help you along that way. Because again, it's a journey. We don't know. Maybe somebody doesn't want to own a house, or maybe they just want to have a cabin, or what have you. Maybe they want to own their business, or they don't. Yeah.
I think you nailed it too. If figuring out where the person's at in their journey and how you can help them. Networking can be scary.
Mm-hmm. It
I
definitely
used to
can.
be super shy in networking events, and I would literally go sit in a chamber meeting and not talk to a soul. Just go listen, and there's nothing wrong with that. Making yourself present is better than not being there at all.
Mm-hmm.
But now when somebody asks me about the business and what we do, and if they say, "Oh, I really should get my car detailed," cool. I pull out my phone. Do you want to, would you like to book that? Like, I've
Right.
got some openings, or hey, here's my website. Check it out. You can actually book online. Like, what are you looking for? Regardless if they book or not right then, find out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you're creating that connection. They remember that you took the little bit of extra time. And with what I do, people are always like, "Oh, I'd be so embarrassed if you saw my car," or "Oh, it's so bad. I don't," it's what we do.
Mm-hmm.
It's why we do it.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And there's never shame in getting your car cleaned or having somebody, come mow your lawn. I know you've dealt with this with customers whose yards get out of control.
Right.
Life happens.
Yep.
We're here. We're professionals. This is what we do. I've had to deal with this in certain aspects of my business that you've had to help me with. It happens.
Yeah, it does. And like you said, networking is hard. Reaching out to people sometimes is hard, but that's okay. When you have people that you know that can help you, just lean on them. It's okay. I mean, honestly, I had this was before I knew you, so don't be upset. My friend Brian owns
Okay, I guess.
my friend Brian owns a landscaping business also. And like last summer, I'm at the track I work full time. I'm at the track. I have a 86-year-old father who works also, but I take care of him.
He's a sweetheart.
I just called Brian. I'm like, can you please come mow my lawn? Because Steve was on night shift. I couldn't, my neighbors would be upset if I mowed at 7 a.m. on a Saturday morning, which I've done before. But I just was to the point where I was like, I can't do this. So it's okay to ask for help. It definitely is okay.
And also, it's okay to understand there's a cost associated with it.
Well, and here's the deal. You're supporting the local economy.
Right.
You're supporting people that are here in your community, that work their tail off to make their business successful because that was their journey. That's what they're supposed to be doing in life.
Right. Well, and if you're new in business, we were just talking about this before the podcast, but like you have to charge what you're worth.
Value. Yep.
It is so hard out there if you're not charging what you're worth to get anywhere, right? I mean, it's like sitting in a pool that's slowly filling up with water and you're using a smaller and smaller jug to get
Using
yourself
a
out.
spoon instead of a jug to get out.
Right. Like if you don't charge what you're worth, you're kind of stuck in kind of the small pool of like, I can't grow because I'm not charging what I'm worth, right? And your time's valuable. And, people should know that. And don't let somebody change your price. Or something that's happened to me is, don't be so intent on working with somebody that you lower your price because you want to work with them because they have a big name. Because I have done that and I've screwed myself every time. I was just telling John about that. I mean, every time I've tried to work with somebody that like, man, this is a big name or this is a corporation or a big company and I drop my price just to get in the door and then I regret it.
So I do a lot of teaching relationship building classes to our branches within our branch system of the bank. And I really enjoy it because we have a lot of younger folks and, it's a hard thing if you're not used to engaging and having conversations with people. We've gotten them to have conversations, but what I always tell them is everyone has a checking account. Okay. You are the secret sauce. You are what makes them come back. Robbie is what makes me go to RD Detail. I'm going to use your services this summer, but you are the secret sauce. Sorry, McDonald's, I'm using your Big Mac sauce. But that's what people don't understand is like there's a value to that.
Right.
Again, I'm that person that you trust and I want you to trust me. I want you to use our services. I want to refer people to use services within the community that I can trust also.
Right. Well, and, there's a difference in charging what you're worth and say you've known somebody for so long and you're like, you know what, I'm going to give them a freebie, or I'm going to do this for them just because I have the equipment. I'm going to go spend my time and do this for them. Like, that part's different.
Okay. Prime example of that is I make peanut butter balls for a lot of
Everybody.
nonprofit events. And is it money out of my pocket? Absolutely. But people enjoy them, and I like doing it for them. So I'm okay with doing that, to a point, obviously. But that gives me value somewhere else. If somebody has it, they're like, "Oh my gosh, these are so good." Like right now, Easter is Sunday, and I'm making peanut butter balls that look like eggs.
That's cute.
Awesome.
So I did my first delivery of them today, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, these are so funny!"
And
I'm
they're
like,
like shaped.
"They're shaped like an
That's
egg." I
awesome.
found a mold, and they're
Oh,
shaped like an egg. And I have this speckly white chocolate that I put over top of them, and yeah.
that's awesome.
But again, you do things. It's okay to, say, "Hey, I'm going to give you this mo for free." This time you've been a customer for a couple years. I want to help you. Maybe you're going through a rough time.
Yeah.
Reach out. The worst thing you could say is no, but if you don't ask, right?
Right. Well, and there's several clients that say, no, I insist I pay, and you can still just not charge them.
Right.
We did that. We're doing that with Dylan's grandma. She's the most sweet lady. We saw her at the Outdoorsman show when we were there, and she's been a customer since day one. She was one of my first couple signups, and she's paid for a cleanup for the last 2-3 years, right? Every year. And so this year, I got on the phone with her today and was just like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We're just gonna take care of you. Don't think about it. And she was like, no, 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 no. And I was like, yes, yes, yes. Don't worry about it. I control the invoices. I'm not sending you one.
Speaking of the Outdoorsman show,
Great.
okay, and speaking about marketing that's not expensive, okay, the booth space is a little spendy for someone to do, okay. Walking around with your business cards, okay, doesn't cost you but whatever the entry fee is.
Yep.
So if they charge $10 and you spent an hour there introducing yourself to people,
that's how I secured Camper Valley, one of my largest clients every year. I went to the Outdoorsman show my first year in business. I met with the owner, Adam Cordella. I was like, hey, Adam, my name's Kaedyn. I'm new in business. I got a lawn care company. And that turned into a referral to his dad's house, his dad's cabin, and his house. And, we made a great business relationship out of that. Just with that little, that's a perfect example that leads into that. Like, I went in there, I was like, here's my business card. If you guys need services, please reach out. And I got a call 2 weeks later from him and his dad saying, hey, come give us a quote.
Out of 400 employees at Northrim Bank, I think I still hold the most business cards used in a year.
I can
Do you have a
only
number?
imagine how many you burn through in a year.
I have them like everywhere.
Yeah.
Like McKenna and Steve even carry them.
Yes.
So.
No, some of the things you guys have talked about over the last 5 minutes or so, it all comes back. Those connections become tools in your toolbox.
Mm-hmm.
You said that to me 2 years ago, roughly, when we were having lunch, trying to fix an issue. And that has resonated and stuck with me all this time. And I use that analogy all the time because, when you were talking about using Brian to get your lawn mowed, I've had very similar situations to where life happens.
Mm-hmm.
These connections become tools in your toolbox. I've had to do it to get somebody, Chris and I are working a ton. We need the house is just a mess. Call on a tool in my toolbox.
Yep.
Right.
So on and so forth. Those are such important things. And, if you are kind of afraid to talk to people in networking settings or whatnot, as ones do, volunteering is actually how I got more comfortable with it.
Right.
Being down at the ball field and interacting with you, Denise, and Lynn Frisbee, and serving beer was a easy way to start just conversating with people.
Right.
Yep.
Because you're in a nice, easy environment and...
But it goes back to one of our core things we talked about in past episodes, volunteering.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Costs us nothing. And, it's little small. It's always easier to talk with a couple people like we do here versus a room of 50 people. And then you get more and more comfortable doing it.
Well,
and even at the racetrack on the weekends, on Sunday mornings, I serve breakfast at the racetrack on the drag side, and just people coming in saying hi. You ask them how they are, have a conversation, just say hey, and they might be there just to take pictures or volunteer to do something, or again, just have that conversation with
Yeah.
people.
well, I don't
The
even.
power of the pop-in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, I did it. Joe and I went and had lunch at the Palmer Bar. Middle of the day, I popped over just to say hi to the girls next door in the chamber office.
Mhm.
They're awesome members of the community. They do a great thing. I just wanted to say hi. Like,
Yep.
saying hi goes so far.
Smile.
Kaedyn does it all the time. He's running over to go see the guys at Alapex. He'll pop in just to say, hey, how are you? Are you
Yep.
doing okay? You do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time I get goodies when she comes by.
Yeah.
The power of the hi.
Yeah, it goes a long way. Just asking someone how's their days going. Again, making that connection, and it's okay. Back to the networking events. If you're not comfortable going, call me. I'll go with you. I have no problem. I love networking events.
Yep.
If you feel a little nervous about it, one of the things we've started to do with our staff at the branches, they're going out with me. Getting them out from behind the teller line. And I took one of the gals out the other day and she was super nervous. I'm like, don't be nervous, because here's the deal. You're in the customer's environment. You're not in your environment. So they feel comfortable. They're in their office. You're just walking in, saying hi, seeing how things are going. Speaking of popping in, this is really funny. And maybe I told this story before, but this is a different episode, so we're good.
Yeah.
Went to solicit new business from this certain doctor, and I had popcorn, microwave popcorn, and with my business card attached, and it just said on it that I'm just popping in to say hi.
That's hilarious.
And I've known him for like 8 years, and he doesn't forget that. He brings me bags of popcorn as a joke and leaves them on my desk. And then another thing that I like to do is I buy seeds, seeds for flowers, because you're growing with us. Seeds growing.
I love it.
Yeah.
You told me about this story.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just simple things like that. But just going to see someone, it's in their environment. If you said to me, hey, I need to go see this person because, the situation's not the best, that's the best way to conquer that situation. Let's go have lunch. Let's talk. Let's talk about this.
Right. Well, I mean, if you go to a marketing event and Robbie and I happen to be there and Erika happens to be there, more than welcome to come hang out with us.
Yeah.
We're a fun crew. We'll save you a seat and we'll introduce you. Come tell us about your business.
Yeah.
That's what happened with John. He came and told us about our business. We managed to connect him with tons of people.
My goodness,
and
we've connected that guy with a lot of people, which is so cool to kind
is.
of see the power of our network.
perfect example.
Not our community out here is so strong. And we talked about this with Joe Chase in the last episode. It's a very unique thing here.
Mm-hmm.
This does not happen everywhere.
And
No.
with Jake too, we mentioned the same thing. Small town Palmer.
Yeah.
Is not
And it's
not
funny,
Palmer.
like Joe lives with my friend Richard, and I didn't even know that. And so yeah. And I've known Richard for like 10 years and I didn't know that. So it's like, you just get to know people and yeah.
Right.
And so know all the things that they do and can help you with.
I mean, I think one of my favorite things, at least in the lawn care world, is when I do see clients, somebody who was a great substitute teacher at Palmer High School.
Oh,
We mowed for him after I had graduated, and it was cool to hear a year in, like, hey, my daughter's getting married, like, and you get to hear those stories, and they bought this beautiful house. Can I see the pictures, right? Like, here, let's take a look. Like, that part's really cool, getting to see other people grow in their own worlds, in their own journeys of life, right? I mean, you live your day-to-day doing your detail work and my lawns and banking, and we are kind of focused on our own worlds and jobs and getting them done, and take that extra minute to say, hey, like,
to celebrate life.
yeah, like,
Again, funny story. So Dave and Judy at Diversified Tire.
Yeah.
Great business. They're spectacular people. They sold more tires they're one of the top 75 tire companies in the country.
Whoa.
Okay. In the country.
they push
So-
through a shit ton of cars,
Yeah.
like, in
So
a week.
So just I bought a card that had a dog on the front. They like dogs. I said, congratulations. And that made their day. But it was the smallest thing again. Just a tiny thing to say, hey, that's amazing that you did that.
Yeah.
You know?
I worked for Dave and Judy.
Did you?
Yeah, I worked at Diversified Tire for 9 months.
Oh, wow.
In my young working journey. And they were
you 5?
No, it was great to work there. It was so much. It was pretty fun. My job was not normal, but I was one of the younger kids that stuck around a lot longer than the rest. So that's
Right.
something.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're great people. They're super sweet, and
The customers are going to remember when you remember them. And I've never walked into somewhere and somebody be like, "Oh, it's you." They're like, "Hey, Erika, it's great to see you. Thanks for stopping by." You know, and that should make you feel like you want to do that for everybody.
yeah,
You know, and it should make them feel good that, you know, even though you don't get to see as many customers as you really like, you know, but they're still probably happy when they do get to talk to you.
right. Well, Alopex came up with a really. I probably shouldn't spill my marketing idea, but I will. At Lawn Care Guys, plug your ears. Alopex came up with this really cool idea for our snow services, and we're gonna probably apply it to the lawn too. But specifically for the snow, getting a door hanger. I have a bunch of door hangers. Poking a hole through them and getting a blue glow stick, for people that have kids, and putting one on each side and hanging it on their door. And, thanks for being a Snip and Clip customer, and potentially like a little gift card or a punch card or something.
Coffee, whatever.
Yeah, I know so
Are
many
you
coffee
sure they're not
shops.
going to be orange glow sticks?
No, we'll probably do blue. The theme. The orange
Okay.
is like the me thing.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right. Well,
it goes with the brand.
Have you never noticed he doesn't actually have orange on his logo?
no, I noticed that because
Yeah.
when he sent us a
Oh,
sign
yeah,
to look
the thing.
at,
Yep.
I said, "Why is there no orange in this logo?"
Yeah, but I mean,
The beautiful sign that's outside your building.
it is gorgeous. Thank you to my grandpa, Eagle Painting Bob, for hanging this up with me. It was blowing like 40, and we put it up.
It's still out there.
It is still out there. I put $70 worth of screws in this building. So,
Wow.
yeah. But cheaper than a metal sign. No hate towards any of the sign companies. I just did not want to spend a boatload of money on a sign on a building that, we
Could possibly land in Meadow Lakes next week.
yeah, and we're gonna grow out of this. I
Yeah.
mean, we're eventually gonna have our own shop with.
Well, when I first rolled up, I thought the new building next door was yours already.
God,
And I'm
I
like,
wish.
dang.
I'm not balling like that. I got truck loans.
Oh, yeah.
He'll get there someday.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one day.
But it's all about making those connections with people and, just opening yourself up. And again, sometimes it's hard to do that. It's okay to sit back and listen, but
Right. Well, you know what's really cool is everybody that uses credit cards for their customers that bills them has their address. And you can mail stuff.
mhm.
Mail is still a thing, not email, like physical mail. And so one thing we want to do is, for the last.
Matsuboro property. is
Oh, we
also
don't
a
want
great
that. We don't
place.
need those, yellow slips? Are they yellow?
No. But it's the way you
Oh.
get the address.
Oh, you can do that too. You can look up their name.
because they might have PO boxes. So
That's also true. But, one thing I've wanted to do for so long, and now that I'm building my little family, I can do. I've always wanted to do like the Snip and Clip family pictures for holidays. So,
Aw.
like a hand signed, any client that's done business with us in the last 365 days, I want to write a card, and it'll take me probably a week to do, but write a card and physically mail it off to them.
That's amazing.
I think it's really cool. Again, we struggle with that. We can't go see these people all the time. They have their own lives, whereas they have to drop their car off most of the time. They have to come. Well, they don't have to come cash their check. They love to come cash their check.
Mhm.
But for us, it's just, we don't see them. And so if we can try and go that extra mile to just, hey, like we do appreciate you being a client with us. And we want to show that by, here's who we are, right? And we want to thank you for being a client.
Yeah.
It's that simple.
Definitely. And, with the new Palmer shop, I'm trying to get a little bit more creative on how we showcase our business connections.
Mm-hmm.
So I love Erika, obviously, and her peanut butter balls are amazing.
Mhm.
She made custom colored peanut butter balls that are red and black.
Hey, when you're ready for those signs,
I-
let me know. I
Yes,
can make orange or whatever.
I was
color
gonna
you want.
say. No, I was gonna say we could do green and blue.
There you go.
That'd be sweet.
But we came up with a fresh business card that showcases, why we're doing it. And we get to put a little treat in there for everybody. And I love that because it's a way I can support Erika.
Mhm.
It shows the community we're working together. And we actually just partnered with Kook Water. So there will be a water in everybody's car.
Mhm.
It's an aluminum can that's completely recyclable.
They were very cool looking.
They are so cool.
Made
And
in Alaska,
they're
bottled,
made canned in Alaska.
canned.
And all the profit from this company goes to help people in need.
Oh, wow.
I believe he's got a few different charities that they donate their money to, but clean water is a big thing.
How did you find this company?
Joe?
There you go.
Right.
A connection.
Joe Warren?
Yes.
It's Joe Warren's business.
Oh, okay.
So this is his nonprofit.
His giving back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kook Water is a nonprofit to my understanding, but it actually tastes really good.
Right.
People are like, "Oh, it's in it's an aluminum can."
If it's cold, it doesn't matter.
Right. And people have seen over the years, we've wrapped water bottles and done that, and that it's always kind of been a thing for us. I've had more people say, "This is so cool."
Right. It's a gesture.
In the 4 days we've been doing it,
Mm-hmm.
I've gotten probably 10 or 11 text messages showing the can in their truck, and they're like,
That's cool.
We should do some kind of like marketing thing and have people take pictures and hold them up.
we're gonna
and-
have
yeah.
to. We're gonna have to come up
Something
with
Give
like
something
that.
away
cool.
Yeah.
But
ceramic every
Where
3
are you
months.
today with standing in front of your clean car with your water?
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But it shows that connection.
Yeah.
And that's what this is all about.
I'm
Mhm.
concerned about the summer peanut butter balls, though.
Yeah.
I
I'm-
have a plan for that.
Hot car,
Hey. I have
He's got a
for that.
plan.
center console.
He's got to have a plan because I just bought a lot of red and
I have a plan.
Okay.
Don't worry.
it's all good.
Oh, you're gonna hand it to him when they get the keys. You got
'Cause they're
fridges.
gonna put
I
in the
have
fridge.
Smokin' Joe that loves to walk out and take everybody around their clean car
See,
and
again,
create
that's
that
another-
connection.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Taking those few minutes, and I love to do it. Running a business, sometimes we don't always have the time. It is so amazing to have employees that share that vision. Kaedyn and Ben check the people out at Wasilla. They take the time to do this as well. It's important. It's that connection, especially when somebody's spending money like this to get their vehicle cleaned. You've trusted us with this. And now it's kind of like, hey, we want to show you what we did. So,
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, another thing that we're trying to do to try and get on the same level as these other businesses that get to see their clients is monthly check-ins on the phone. And I think we mentioned this in your episode, maybe,
Yep.
but like just getting on the phone with them once a month. Hey, how's your lawn service? How's it looking? Are you happy with what we're doing for you? Is there anything we can do better? Is there any spots we're missing? Like,
You'd be surprised how many businesses don't ask those questions.
99.9%. It's very interesting, and a lot of guys just collect their credit card payment and go on with their life and go mow the next lawn. And
But what you're doing is making a difference.
I'm trying.
Making that connection with that customer and saying,
Right.
hey, we value you as a customer.
Yeah. Well, and we're not perfect, right? We screw stuff up all the time, just like everybody else. And we do everything we can to make it right. Some people can't be pleased, or some people just get frustrated and I don't want to work with you anymore. And that happens.
Mm-hmm.
But the goal is we want to make everybody as happy as possible with what they're paying for.
right.
Right.
We actually had a situation this week. I had a gentleman who had his truck detailed last Friday, called Monday. I got the phone. He's like, hey, man, I'm just not 100% satisfied with my detail. Okay. Let's fix it.
What can I do?
What's going on? I'm not arguing. I'm not upset. I'm concerned
You're
because
not defensive. You're not.
I'm
you're
not.
just-
I'm
you just
not
wanna fix it.
defensive. This is not an attack at me. This is part of doing business, guys. This is something you're gonna have to deal with.
Yep.
And I just, his name's Dave. I was like, Dave, how can I help you? How can I make this right? He explained to me his concerns. I said, bring it in, drop it off. He did. He had it there that evening. Joe and I stayed late. We got it clean. Back to him first thing in the morning. He actually wrote me a 5-star review telling me how awesome our customer service was and how happy his truck was. So that is the biggest win, guys. Like,
Yes.
to take a customer who was upset
Right.
and have them still leave you a positive 5-star review simply because I conducted myself in a calm demeanor, because it is so easy to go on the defense. Like,
Because it's your name and right?
It is.
It's you, right?
it is. I'm very thankful I have employees who take ownership, when they answer the phone, that, we are basically, I call them my family.
You're
We
a
are
family-owned business.
We are a family-owned business. We all have, I have 6 mouths to feed that depend on it. And our connections in the community, it's all important to me. So I want to make sure people are taken care of. And we see, I think we did almost 4,000 cars last year.
Wow.
My guys are fantastic. We can't be perfect all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Stuff slips through.
But keeping those positive connections is what helps us navigate the negative ones.
Right.
Well-
because you turned it around full circle.
Right.
From ugly to great, right? I mean, that was from a -5 to a +10.
Exactly. And
Uh,
it made me feel good as a business owner too, to get that win.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. Because it is a win. I think one of the things, there's something about that with a client that if you can change that perspective of like, we're not perfect. And there's clients that don't say anything. I've mentioned this before. The clients that are silent
And they just fade off.
and they're frustrated.
the silent complainers.
Yep.
I don't like to use that word because it makes them sound bad.
So I'm actually going to tell you who told me. Cindy Hill
Mm-hmm.
used this with me at a networking event we were at. For those of you in the community that were fortunate enough to know Cindy, she was running all the largest Allstate.
Allstate. Yep.
And fantastic. She retired a couple of years ago. She's living her best life with her husband, Chris. Anyway, her and her husband are still very active in the community,
Mhm.
are at all these great events. And we were just sitting chatting, and she's like, "How do you deal with silent complainers?" And I was like,
What?
"What?
Huh?
What do you mean?"
What are you talking about?
And we talked, we had a healthy 30-minute conversation on this topic. And it's, it's asking those right questions, I'm guilty of it. I've had monthly detail customers fall off and not really pursued the reason why. Now I definitely try to make it a point to, basically kind of have an exit interview with your customer. Hey, I'm really sorry. Is it a lot of times it's life,
Mhm.
whether it be a monetary thing, a situational thing, but there has been situations where they're like, I'm just not happy with the service. Okay. I'm sorry. I took those as learning lessons to better improve my communication skills,
Right.
and grow from it.
Right. Because we have to see it from their point of view and say, okay, what's happening in their life that's causing this, or what caused this? What can we do better? And what can we learn from this? So, like you
And
said.
being subscription based, it's so easy to fall into that. And, sometimes people lose sight of what the value is. So if, those yearly renewals come up for, I'm going to say my PlayStation subscription, because I play video games during the wintertime when it gets slow, that $100 a year for that, or $100 for this. I know it feels like January through April, we all get hit up for all this money from
Mhm.
different things.
Insurance.
Different memberships for different things. We get either an email or, this or that. And sometimes we are at a stage where we're evaluating, what we're spending money on.
Mhm.
And having that connection with somebody helps bridge that, oh, there's value here. I want this.
Right.
I want to be, I want my PlayStation membership. because I play.
Right.
Again, it's that connection
Well, I get that because, like,
and the value.
I want my ESPN because I want to watch hockey. Even though hockey season's coming to, we're going to the playoffs and our team didn't make it, I still want to watch hockey. So that's important to me. So I'm gonna continue that. So we just need to remind people what the importance of things
Right.
is.
And I've had monthly customers say, I'm not getting the value out of it. I don't drive this very much.
Right.
I have people pause it during the winter
It
because
doesn't get that dirty or
Right.
it gets too dirty.
Right.
So it's creating that value in what you're offering, what you have.
It's funny. Ever since you cleaned my beautiful 1990 pickup truck,
I love your truck.
it needs to be cleaned again. But anyway, and Dad came in. He says the other day he gets in his truck and it's shiny as ever. He's like, it needs to go in and get washed again. And I'm like, okay, well, we'll just let Robbie know and we can get him in there and get it washed. But I watch people's cars. I watch them and I'm like, man, you have a really nice car. Clean it. Send it to Robbie to clean. It would look so much better. And I guess it's from when McKenna lived in California. Every car is clean down there because it doesn't get dirty. What happens down there for it to get dirty, or they go to car wash or whatever.
Right.
Our cars are always dirty, no matter what. But I love that my truck is clean and that, the guy next to me in his big old truck looks at mine. I'm like, yeah, my truck looks good. I know it does.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
My truck's a mess right
It's
now.
kind of funny. I'm the same way about like lawn service.
Mhm.
I actually, last summer we had new neighbors move in and they were a young couple just starting out life. And I had lawn service last year and I was just like, hey, I'm take care of their front yard for them. Because if it feels nice
Mhm.
to come home, I love coming home and seeing the lawn mowed. And I was in a position to be able to be like, I know they're starting out, just get, first home, new jobs, trying to buy all the things, and both working a ton. I was like, yeah, and the wife, she's like, oh, this is so awesome, thank you. Like, you don't have to. It's like, well, that's no problem. Like,
But you made a connection with them.
connection.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Got to know them. And yeah, that's awesome. It is awesome. All these things are great ways to build relationship with people, whether it's about business or just personal or what have you. And like your scenario about, meeting people at the ball field or at the racetrack or, wherever we're at, it's a great thing just to meet people and like do good things, be good people or try to be. And we know it's not always easy because peopling is hard and we have life. And life is not always as easy. And we go, oh, how are we going to get through this? Well, reach out. You have friends.
We have friends, and I can't stress this enough because life does happen. And I know we've known each other long enough. We've seen each other go through some different phases. And if you're in a job and you have to people, and that is your main thing, don't ever think it's not okay to say, I need a few days for myself. Because it is, your employer will appreciate that you said that.
It's a reset.
Yep.
For yourself.
And your customers will appreciate that more. If you find yourself, kind of chomping at the bit, being short, I've had to kind of self-check myself and be like, why am I'm acting irritated and I don't know why. And I've said it to Ben, hey dude, I cannot people today. Will you please answer the phone today? Joe's done the same for me. Owning it and realizing it is half the battle. I know you've had the same thing.
Yep.
Where you're just
Although I don't have anybody to answer the phone, so we just put it on silent and hope they leave a voicemail. But
even if they don't leave the voicemail now, you can call back the number that called you.
This is true. I don't typically do that. I've learned that I've tried doing that. 99% of the people that call and don't leave a voicemail don't want service, or they want something and it's not that important to them right then. Whereas if they're calling you, they're leaving a voicemail, they're texting you, they want it. So I reach out to those people more, not to disenfranchise those people that just call and don't leave a voicemail, but usually they call down the list of Google first. So it happens. And, there's so much business. There's so much business out here. I talk to a couple of good people that are in the same industry as me. Would I love to do it all? Yeah. Can I? No. And so, we kind of feed off of each other. Rob Nelson,
Well, yeah, then you have a connection. When you can't do something, you're
right.
helping your
Or
neighbor
there's,
by saying, "Hey, business owner A, I can't get to this job. Can you help?" And then vice versa.
right. Well, Rob Nelson next door called me and was like, "Hey, man, we need a dethatching." And I'm like, I don't dethatch. I don't have a dethatcher. I don't want to spend $20,000. It's been a common theme the last 2 weeks, people asking about it.
That
But
time, that's why.
right, and everybody that absolutely needs it, I just refer over Kaedyn Lynch. No mo worries.
Mhm.
Another Kaedyn. He does that, and he does it the right way. There's a lot of guys out here that use a pull behind dethatcher, and in my opinion, they're a scam. You're kind of throwing your customers' money into your pocket, and you're not actually doing a service for them. Whereas people with real dethatchers that are powered, you actually pull up the grass, you can actually pick it up. Anyways, that's my little rant. But, Kaedyn goes out there with his little 22-inch walk behind dethatcher and dethatches an acre lawn and charges you $700 for it. But he actually did the job to the right standard. So, but again, yeah,
Because he knows his value and he's charging appropriately for his customers.
Mhm.
And you should never be angry with a business owner for doing that. There's a difference between somebody charging their value and price gouging.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There is that difference.
Well, and going back to, again, this is about knowing your value and stepping back. Like when I take a few days off or I go on, PTO with my family, that's my time. And I really try really hard not to work, even though I love my customers, I love prospects, but you have to give yourself that time. And
We-
your family deserves that.
Right.
You're getting
You
ready to be a
deserve it.
dad.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a greater thing in life than being a parent. I can say that 1,000 times. McKenna is, I love my husband, okay, but McKenna is my world, and just to watch a child grow up, people will say, "Oh, well, it'll go by so fast." It's going to. You're gonna blink, yeah. Anyway, but take that time for yourself as a business owner too. Don't try to do it all. Reach in your toolbox, let other people help, make those relationships, make the connections. If you don't know, just ask us. Ask us.
Please. And, if you're listening to these episodes or watching and you have questions or you want to get in contact, message us. You'd
Yeah.
be surprised how many messages we do get, which is great. People see us in the community and they are asking questions. Don't hesitate.
Call our business because we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're picking up that phone.
I got lots of
probably.
compliments from our first episode, so yeah,
That's
that was really cool.
Yeah.
It's super cool. We love the connections with people.
Well, here's a simple way to make a connection. Like I saw that Signature Landscaping, or they don't even do landscaping, paving and snow plowing, bought the building next door here. And, something so simple, right? Kind of a competitor, not really. I was like, who owns that? So I reached out and Heath was like, oh, that's Tim. And I was like, Tim who? And he's like, I don't know how to say his last name, so I won't butcher it. But anyways, I looked him up on Facebook and I friended him. And then I shot him a message and was like, hey, man, can we meet sometime? You're buying the building next door to me. It'd be good to meet you, make that business connection. Dude texted me back in 5 minutes. Was like, hey, man, yeah, I'll be out there at some point. I'll pop by your shop. You can make connections like that no matter how many dollars you think this other business does or how much better they are than you or whatever you equate that to. Most of these guys in business are just normal people, and they are more than happy to reach out and talk to you and give you advice. And
I know we're coming to a close, but Ryan, they're at First National over in Palmer.
Yeah.
Is one of my most favorite people. He is my competitor. We chat all the time about relationship building. And my husband says to me one day, why are you telling him your secrets? And I'm like, they're not secrets.
Not a secret.
It's not a secret. I can take care of people the way I do. He can take care of people the way he does. As long as you're taking care of your customers, that's what's most important. If somebody said to me, hey, I'm leaving the bank, and I'm like, okay, just like you said, why, what can I do to make it different? Okay. And they say, so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Well, just remember I'm here. if something happens, and I'm always here, because once somebody rips off the Band-Aid, but my whole idea with that is we all have competitors in the community, and just because they're competitors doesn't mean that we can't learn from each other.
No, you and
know?
Ryan are the perfect example for this.
Yeah. I mean, Paula Nance, who's now with Valley Board of Realtors,
She's
she used
great.
to be with Global or Alaska USA, and I've known her for years.
Or Jake Nelson, who used to be with Mac.
Yeah.
And the three of you would sit and have lunch.
Right. And
Or Holly,
we
our
talk about
accountant.
it, because if there's something I can't do, maybe there's something you can do. The bottom line is someone's being helped by someone who cares, regardless of who that person is. And then you gain that respect from that person, because just because you couldn't do it, you could refer them to someone else who could.
Right.
So again, connection, relationship building.
Right. Well, and people can't look at that as lost revenue. Like, I can't look at Rob going to Kaedyn Lynch as lost revenue, because it's not a service I provide.
Right.
Right. And so you're just helping the client get to the end goal of they got what they needed.
In their journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, people kind of look at it more monetarily when it's like, I could have made the money on that detail, or I could have made the money on that big lawn. When really, okay, well, maybe Green Connection, a company we just partnered with, maybe they do flowers, and I don't do flowers. I don't know shit about flowers. Oh, damn thing. I just know you got to water them and they got to look pretty. I don't know.
But look at that great connection that you made with them, though.
Right.
And that was from a chamber meeting, wasn't it?
Yep. Kelsey, she's the best. She rocks. We have to have her on. But, she knows everything there is to know about flowers, and there's so many commercial clients that need both of the worlds.
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes you can play off of each other. Sometimes, hey, Green Connection, you guys have lawn guys in Anchorage. Take over the whole thing, do your whole service there. But out here, they're like, well, we only send our flower guys. We don't do the lawns. Can you do them? And we'll do the flowers.
Yeah.
And we have multiple clients set up for that.
Well, even when you referring to a competitor, I get those calls. Hey, I need this done now. As it comes down to that work-life balance as well. Is it worth it to take time away to make that extra couple $100? That's an internal decision. I can't tell you if that's right or wrong. I definitely value my family time when I can get it, and I, if I can send somebody to a competitor, because I'm thankful enough to have a full schedule and am booked out, and there's obviously a difference of being so far booked out to where you need to make changes in your business to accommodate those customers versus, those blips on your radar that pop up when you can't take care of these people.
Right.
And it depends on where you're at in your journey, right? Are you in a spot where that extra $200 could save your ass? Like, go for it. By all means.
Exactly. That's where I was getting at with the internal, that is an internal decision, and we have to make those, but
I'm right there with you, because like racing season's getting ready to start. So the last couple weekends, I'm low key doing things with my family, because here from beginning of May until September, I'm out at Alaska Raceway Park, and I love being there. But you have to schedule things and you have to time them. And luckily for me, my family comes and works with me.
Right.
So,
and it's just the weekends, right? You
Yeah.
don't do a ton on weekdays there.
Well, it just depends on the workload and the weekends. I do ordering and, Costco runs if I need to. I'm going to
Inventory.
be avoiding those this year, but
Right.
there's other things that we do. But yeah, that family time is super important. So we all know we have to support our family. But on the flip side, what does that cost us? Because you can't get time back, especially with your family. And I'm only looking at you because you cannot get that time back. So if there's doctor's appointments or there's whatever, you got to go.
Yep.
And if you can.
The blessing about being a business owner is being able to just say,
You have a better schedule.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not showing up to that. I'm moving this, I'm moving that, and I'm going to this, right?
I mean, I'm thankful for Steve, because for a long time he worked night shifts so that we could make a little bit more money for school. Okay. I was the one who got to go to school to go to events, because he was working and he was on base, and, but I'm very thankful. And so is McKenna that he was able to do that. Now, we try to do as much as possible together.
Right.
You know, we don't have those 4-wheelers or, all these other things. We like to go camping, sit by the fire, go on trips. So just remember that you can't get that time back, especially with your loved ones,
Yep.
you know.
And there's different ways to make that work for everybody. You
Yeah.
know, we talked about this with Josh Tudor, and I talked about how him and Sarah navigate that, and they have one day a week that they don't schedule anything.
Yeah.
That's their day. And like my at home life right now, we're trying to figure that out because we both have had huge changes in our
Mhm.
careers and commitments, and we're working through that, and that will be something, guys, you're gonna hit those bumps in the road where you have to refigure that out, and but don't lose sight of it.
Mhm. Definitely not.
Agreed.
All right.
Well, thank you guys for listening. This has
Yeah.
been a fun evening.
Yeah.
Thank you. And
Thank you,
again,
Erica.
Thank you.
if you need some help with making connections, let us know.
Relationship building. I have a whole book that I've got a lot of scribbled notes in that I can share. Just reach out to me. I'll be happy to help.
Well, thanks guys for watching.
Thank you.
Thanks.